Welcome back, guys, to Rise and Grind. Happy Thursday. We got a new setup here today. Our media team is out and about, so Megan and I are in charge of this bad boy today. So hopefully, don't mess it up. But Meg, kick us off. What do we got today?
Hold on. Let me make sure we're up on Instagram really quick. We are. Okay. All right. So the first topic that we have here is Perplexity is stopping their ad testing, which isn't really a surprise. I think this came from a lot of the backlash from ChatGPT putting out ads. They had mentioned that they want to distance themselves from ads because they're fearful that users won't trust chatbots with an agenda to sell, which I definitely agree with. I mean, if it were me, I don't think I would necessarily trust a chatbot that I knew was purposely trying to sell to me, as opposed to everybody's using it for advice right now and looking for guidance. So, yeah, it's really interesting to see. I'm also seeing, though, that a lot of agencies are diving into putting ads on ChatGPT, despite a lot of the again, the backlash that's happening on the platform, because you want to be able to test it. So there's brands that are putting a lot of money into ChatGPT. I'm not really sure how that's going to go for them. And then there's, LLMs like Perplexity that are pulling back completely and saying, we want to keep this as kosher as possible. We want our users to know that if they're coming to the platform, they're getting raw, unfiltered advice, not advice that's trying to be sold to you.
But a lot of these companies kickbacks to that, like, well, at least ChatGPT is saying, is like, it's not going, like, they're trying to fight and say that it's not going to be like that. It's going to be very clear that, like, it's an ad and, and et cetera, so that, like, it doesn't kind of, like, feel unauthentic to the responses. Like, the responses will have nothing to do with the ads, and the ads will have nothing to do with the responses. But again, it's more so just kind of like annoying, right? It's like,
yeah,
of like back then when we had those like apps, where it's like you had the freemium versions and you would have to like stop because you would have the like ads display and take over the screen for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like just more of an annoyance, I feel like, but it's going to be interesting to see if people decide to start leaving GPT, or chat because because of this.
Yeah, I also feel like as marketers, we know that it doesn't interfere, but as a consumer, you don't know how the algorithms are tied in. So I feel like the consumers that aren't educated in how these ad platforms work might start to feel like, well, they have to be commingled in one way or another. But really interesting. I also saw, this isn't necessarily marketing related, but really interesting, the Seattle Seahawks are for sale. Did you see this?
Yeah, remember we talked about that.
No, I have no recollection of us talking about this.
Yes, after the Super Bowl, I said, hey, they're the Super Bowl team that won, but because the principal and owner of the team died, he said when he passed away that it would be essentially sold and every dollar would be given to charity.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but his sister is like kind of like the person in charge right now while they try to sell it. But how crazy is that the Super Bowl winning team literally is now for sale?
I mean, it comes at a good time. ESPN is saying that they're valued to exceed the 6 billion mark, which is, I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's going to take a few investors. I hear they're talking to a few different investors about it too, but that's really interesting. And so that full $6 billion is going to go to some charity. That's the deal.
I don't know where. Actually, we should look that up. I'm gonna look that up. But yeah, so that will go to some charity. Let's see what they say. But yeah, $6 billion to a charity of I believe he was Paul Allen.
Yeah. Wow, you have a good memory.
Yes, yeah. He's a big Microsoft guy.
Yeah, you have a very good memory. Yeah, I had no idea. I do not remember us talking about that at all. But when I saw it this morning, I was seeing headlines that, Seahawks for sale, 6 billion plus. I'm like, wow, that is, talk about good timing.
So let's see. Oh, so it's going to go, okay. So I think it's going to be donated to, so it's his foundation.
Oh.
Family foundation, essentially.
Got it.
Supports a wide variety of ranges, including science, technology, wildlife, conservation, community development, and a particular focus of the Pacific Northwest.
Wow. Well, that's still good.
Yeah, I mean, but
Benefiting someone.
hello.
Yeah, you could do a lot with $6 billion when it comes to charity.
Megan's like, Mama's going shopping.
$6 billion. Oh my gosh. And then the last topic that I have here is eBay investing in fashion more and more, which is interesting. Last week, we talked about how Walmart is investing very heavily in ads showcasing these luxury designers on their platform, part of their marketplace. It's like you can place your product for sale there, even though it's not necessarily Walmart's. So it was interesting seeing, Chanel bags or YSL bags on a Walmart ad. And then I'm seeing more and more these eBay ads that have the same thing, which isn't everyone, people have sold their luxury items on eBay for years, for decades, but they're putting more money into emphasizing it now. And then I just saw that eBay purchased Depop, which is do you know what Poshmark is?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like essentially the same thing, but we're seeing these really major retailers that have these wide marketplaces invest more and more into fashion, which in my opinion hints to consumer spending habits shifting a little bit, right? If big retailers are investing more into luxury purchases or purchases that aren't a necessity by any means, it feels to me like people are buying again. They're shopping again. They're spending their money. And going back even just a year ago, we saw that consumers were holding on to their money a little bit more tightly than maybe they would have in years past.
Yeah, I feel like we're seeing. Well, it's interesting, right? It's like, where are people's money shifting to? Because I think at the end of the day, like right now, because you have Temu and these very affordable economical options now, like I don't think people stop spending in general. I think they just start spending differently, right? So, and eBay is going after, man. They acquired Golden, which is an auction company for like high end sports and like just antique memorabilia type stuff. They're not playing games. I remember thinking like, damn, eBay is dead, because like
I thought that too for a while.
Forever.
They're making a comeback right now, though. They're really, I mean, I am seeing so many of their commercials, their ads on Meta. They're really trying to be in different places right now.
Absolutely. We got to give Mike a shout out for shooting his shot. Mike is shooting his shot right now.
He's talking about you.
Thanks,
Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Excuse me, but at the end of the day, I gotta say though, like eBay is far from dead, because I had an old phone listed on Marketplace that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I bought the iPhone Air. I was like the first person and the only person in America to buy it.
Yeah.
And literally, I had it on Marketplace, and like I was just getting tire kickers, and it was taking forever, and nobody was serious. And then Jacqueline's like, I'll throw it up on my eBay account, and she literally sold it in a day.
No way.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, damn. I mean, yeah. So like either way, like that, eBay still doing it.
Wow, that's so interesting. Yeah, I'm really eager to see. I mean, eBay, so both eBay and Walmart, I feel like have had a certain stigma around their brands for the past few years, right? Like for me, when I think about Walmart, I think about like low cost savings. Like I can go there and get pretty much anything for probably cheaper than if I would go to Target or Amazon or somewhere else. eBay has always been a reseller type platform to me, not something that I think of to buy like something that's brand new, brand sparkly new. I don't know why their brands just have come off to me like that. And now I know, at least for Walmart, the CMO of Walmart said she's on a mission to completely change and shift the way that Walmart is perceived. But it sounds like eBay is trying to do the same thing with all of their efforts too.
Yeah, literally. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I remember eBay being the place where you went to go bid on items, bidding on things, like versus like I'm going to go buy something. And obviously you can still do that now, but it's just pretty crazy that like they're making a pretty strong comeback right now.
Yeah. All right, those are all the topics we have.
I love it. And Meg, what do you got for our motivation today, Megs?
Oh my gosh.
What's hitting you in the fire in your belly today?
What is hitting me? I don't know. I feel like I got to dig deep for this one. This has been a long week. Motivation. I've had a lot of really productive conversations this week. And they haven't been easy conversations either. We've been doing performance reviews with the team. I've been talking to clients and having to like set expectations, and I feel like my motivation through this week, or just like the quote of the week for me, is basically say what's on your mind and deliver it in a very clear way, and everything else will fall into place. If you can set the right expectation with someone, you are going to save yourself hours and hours and hours of going back and forth later on. So it's so much easier to just say what's on your mind in the moment and work through it, whether that's with a team member, a client, a customer, somebody that you work with, than to hold it in or not say what's on your mind or sugarcoat it in a way and have to go back and forth with them many times through the same frustrations over and over and over and over again in the future. So that's what's holding me through the week.
That's great. Well, listen, that's great advice for personal and professional, right? Like there are so many times that I personally have been in positions where you try to deliver something more nicely or delicately, and it didn't really land the way you wanted it to because you were being more cautious about being delicate versus actually delivering like the real feedback or like what you wanted to talk about. And then it just drags on, right? So then you're back in another uncomfortable conversation. And then at that point, it's annoying for both parties because you already kind of had an initial conversation. They have to have another one. And so it's way more friction if you don't just have the conversation. I've been in there a quadrillion times especially in my career, definitely my personal life. And you know me, like I'm a people pleaser by nature, right? So I'm a recovering people pleaser, as I always say. So like at the end of the day, it's like I've been in so many of those conversations that I love that advice and that mindset, because more people are delicate around conversations because they are uncomfortable and they don't want to have like any sort of conflict, or they're trying to avoid conflict, where the conflict gets way more intensified if you have it later. And it's always worse than it is when you just get it done the first time.
Right. Exactly.
They rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. Or even like delivering. I feel like I learned so much about the team this week because we had a lot of raw conversations that had some emotion in it. And I feel like a lot of times, especially in the professional world and the corporate world, when you go to have a conversation about what's not working, you try to separate your emotions from it, right? I'm guilty of it. You actually are. Anytime I come to you and I'm like, I'm angry about something, but let's talk about it later, you're like, no, we need to talk about it now. I want that emotion. And I guess I never really understood that until recently. But this week, hearing some of the emotion that came with the conversations helped me realize, like, okay, this is really impacting this team member, or maybe, we need to do something different because this is the emotion that's coming up here. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to keep emotions in these conversations either. You don't have to, push them to the side.
No, absolutely not. And listen, for anybody who's watching, I think one of the things that I've learned in my career that I always try to push to the team and inspire the team on is like, you giving feedback and you receiving feedback, two separate things, right? Let's talk about the giving feedback. You bring feedback to somebody, whether it's, hey, your hair looks like shit, or hey, the way you're performing is not up to stuff, like up to snuff, so like you need to step it up. Those conversations are difficult to have, but it's you helping somebody else, not only yourself in your team, but it's helping somebody else in your organization grow. If they didn't get that feedback, they think they're doing great, right? So like in their mind, they think I'm doing okay or I'm doing great, when in reality, you're giving not the level of true, authentic feedback that they need, because you observe their feelings and you're trying to get yourself out of an uncomfortable conversation. And then on the receiving end, it's like when somebody gives you feedback, it's such a golden opportunity, like to grow, right? So like if somebody's telling you something, it's very different. We all grew up in families and have always like thought of feedback as like a negative, right? Like, why is that person saying it to me? That's offensive, that's disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. Because, in most families, you try to keep things inside and not like say certain things that are going to cause arguments or rifts. And, when you are in a professional setting, you receiving feedback is an opportunity for you to make a change. And if you can make a change and you can grow from it, that's a massive value to you. So at the end of the day, accept feedback differently. It doesn't matter how you're given feedback. So many people care about like how it's delivered, the tonality I got, blah, blah, blah. It's like, don't worry about that. What you should worry about is the fact that you're getting feedback. It's your job to filter and to extract and to get the value, right? Because feedback is value. Feedback is not harmful. Feedback is value. So if you extract it, like I almost think of like the people who like do the stuff in the sand with those little like beep things that like you can grab.
Yeah, like a metal detector.
Yeah, it's like they go and then they grab the little filter thing and then they get all the sand and crap out and then they find gold, right?
Yep.
It's like that's the same concept when it comes to feedback. So if you can filter feedback the right way, you are going to grow tremendously. So I hope anybody listening here takes that and does whatever you can with it, because it's helped me tremendously. And I even, again, but it's also being a person and being a human is such a difficult thing, right? Because, you know, I heard a pastor say this, but they were like, you know, the things in your life, like Megan, I'm sure you could think about something in your life that you've dealt with, right? Whether it's mental health or whatever, like that you thought that by the time that you were 30, this should be over with. Like, there's no way I should be dealing with this still, right?
Yeah.
Enough years of experience, like there's no way I should still be dealing with this, right?
Right.
Like, but as a human, whether you believe in God or life, like the things that keep showing up for you are things that you're still not working on or worked out yet. So that's why they're still present in your life. And for feedback, as an example, it's one of those things where it's like when things keep showing up, like you don't ever perfect receiving feedback or giving feedback because it's always going to be difficult. Mm-hmm. And our response, like an emotion, are what make it so difficult, right? So like again, like last week I talked about how you gave me great feedback, you know, and you delivered it kind of rough, right? And I received it and I was like annoyed at first, right? And at first I was kind of like coming back at you a little bit where I was like, no, blah, blah, blah. And then it wasn't until like at the end of that call or when we got off the call where I was like, you know what? Like, listen, she was giving me feedback instead of me being upset about how she delivered it to me or any of that stuff. What's more important is that like that feedback is something that I can grow with, right? Mm-hmm. And so my point is that like nobody's ever going to be perfect at receiving and giving feedback, but it's the point of like you have to just show up, right? Yeah. If you show up and you're willing to be vulnerable, because that's what it is, right? Vulnerability, I think, is such an underestimated and undervalued thing in the corporate and professional world. It's like when you are vulnerable, and of course with the right people, right? Like you have to trust these people. But when you're vulnerable and you are willing to give feedback, willing to receive feedback, and you know, and take it and stuff, like it's one of those things where it's like it opens different levels of, you know, that camaraderie with that person, because now you have a different level of trust. Like you and I have a great level of trust because you can hit me with some real feedback, or I can hit you with some real feedback, and I'm okay if you get upset or mad or whatever, and say to me, because I know that we're gonna bounce back from it and like we'll move on, right? Like, it's not like I think like, I don't know, hey, what if Megan never talks to me again, right? Or what if Megan, you know, whatever, right? Like in our minds, we know each other for over a decade, so like we know how to, you know, work together. Where you have to build that trust, right? And I think at the end of the day, in the workplace culture, or even in a relationship sense, friendships or, you know, personal relationships, that's the key, is like opening that door. Right. And obviously once you observe, you might open that door and realize that person did not deserve that. I'm closing that fucking door real quick. And that's okay too. Right. Like then, you know, at the end of the day. So, you know, and we say this too, like there's so many people in corporate America. Like one of our team members' husbands worked at, now they moved on to a different job, but they worked at this really big corporate company. And, you know, he was so shocked by our culture because of how like you can just directly talk to your leaders and like the, you know, executives of the company, and, you know, people can give direct feedback, where they were saying like, you know, if they're at a holiday party and they're talking to their boss's boss, their boss is like, what the hell were you talking about? Like, why are you?
It's like overstepping in a way, right?
Right. And it's like, that is, to me, is like so toxic and insane. Right. And that was always the way that, you know, old corporate America was, and probably in some cases really still is. But, you know, so at the end of the day, like you being vulnerable matters as long as you're doing it with the right company and the right leadership, because not obviously everybody deserves that. But anyway, that's my long rant spiel. I thought that was really great motivation Monday, or Thursday, better yet.
Yeah, I'm like, what has been motivating me through the week this week? Thursday came quick. I don't know. I feel like the days feel long, but then the fact that it's Thursday, I'm like, are you sure it's not supposed to be Monday still? I don't know.
I don't know what today feels like to me. But nonetheless, we here, right? We showing up, we doing what we got to do. But all right, guys, hey, happy Thursday. We will see everybody back on Monday. Hope you crush the rest of your week and have a great weekend, guys.